Good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room. The flight controllers here in Houston all set to support the homecoming of 3 crew members from the International Space Station. At this hour, we're just 23 minutes, 28 seconds away from the deorbit burn on the Soyuz MS-24 spacecraft that will bring back to Earth Loral O'Hara, the NASA astronaut who is wrapping up 204 days in space, Soyuz commander Oleg Novitskiy of Roscosmos, and Belarus spaceflight participant Marina Vasilevskaya. Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya wrapping up a 2-week mission in which they delivered Tracy Dyson of NASA to the International Space Station on the Soyuz MS-25. Here in the flight control room, Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak, along with Flight Director Elias Mirmo on console. To their right is spacecraft communicator Aki Hoshide, who, when required, will be talking to the space station crew in the home stretch of their workday before they begin an off-duty weekend prior to the start of a bevy of operational activity aboard the International Space Station. Outside of Moscow in the town of Korolyov, the Russian mission control team is poised to supervise the deorbit burn, entry, and landing of the Soyuz MS-24 as they pore over the data on their consoles, relaying information to Novitskiy, O'Hara, and Vasilevskaya aboard the Soyuz spacecraft. The 3 crew members returning home today, again strapped into their respective seats in the center section of the Soyuz in the descent module. Novitskiy is the Soyuz commander in the center seat. To his right is NASA astronaut Loral O'Hara, Marina Vasilevskaya, the spaceflight participant from Belarus, to Novitskiy's left. O'Hara, as mentioned, is wrapping up 204 days in space and aboard the International Space Station, a mission that has spanned 3,264 orbits of the Earth and 86.5 million miles. Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya spent 14 days in space, 12 aboard the station, 224 orbits of the Earth, in a mission in which they traveled 5.9 million statute miles. Some 5.5 hours ago, the 3 departing crew members, Novitskiy, O'Hara, and Vasilevskaya, bid farewell to their expedition crewmates on the station in the Rassvet module and then floated through the hatchway to the Soyuz MS-24. That was followed by the closing of the Rassvet hatch by Station Commander Oleg Novitskiy of Roscosmos, and then moments later the Soyuz hatch closed on that side of the docking interface as the 3 departing crew members began preparations for leak checks at the docking interface and then to suit up in their Sokol launch and entry suits that they are clad in the descent module as we speak. We're just 20 minutes away from the deorbit burn that will begin the journey home for O'Hara, Novitskiy, and Vasilevskaya. At 10:54 p.m. Central Time, 11:54 p.m. Eastern Time, the hooks opened between the Soyuz and the Rassvet module, springs on both sides of the docking interface pushed off against one another, allowing the physical separation of the Soyuz MS-24 as it traveled 260 miles above Mongolia. There were 2 separation burns to enable the Soyuz to begin an opening rate away from the International Space Station, and at the moment they are at a distance of about 39 kilometers away from the station, poised to begin the deorbit burn to begin the journey back to Earth and a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. Less than 20 minutes from now, the Soyuz engines will ignite on the MS-24. It'll be a 4-minute, 41-second retrograde deorbit burn to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, allowing it to drop out of orbit. 28 minutes after the burn, there will be an automatic pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz vehicle as the descent module begins its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, plasma heating around the vehicle rising to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. As the Soyuz approaches the landing site, there will be an automatic sequence triggered to deploy a series of chutes, first an extraction chute, then drogue chutes, and then the main parachute that will deploy about 15 minutes before touchdown, enabling the Soyuz to gently land on the steppe of Kazakhstan. The landing site is about 91 miles to the southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan, where the NASA, Roscosmos, and Rosaviatsia search and recovery teams are currently gathered, ready to board a half a dozen Russian Mi-8 helicopters for the 30 to 35-minute flight to the landing zone, where they will begin a circular pattern around the landing zone itself, waiting for the arrival of the Soyuz under its parachute. Once the Soyuz touches down, those recovery forces will begin to make their way toward the spacecraft, and the process of extracting the crew one by one, placing them in medical chairs, in comfortable chairs outside of the capsule, so that they can have a few minutes to regain their land legs and their equilibrium before they're carried into a nearby inflatable medical tent for preliminary medical exams and to get out of those Sokol launch and entry suits into more comfortable clothing. The three crew members will then board three individual helicopters for a 2-hour flight back to the staging city of Karaganda, Kazakhstan, where they will split up, O'Hara boarding a NASA jet for the return flight to Houston, Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya boarding a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft for their flight back to their training base in Star City, Russia, outside of Moscow. As we approach the 15-minute mark before the start of the deorbit burn, again, Novitskiy is the Soyuz commander under the call sign of Kazbeki that he has called his spacecraft. He will be told by the Russian flight control team in Korolyov to transmit the pressure readings and the duration of the burn and the progress of the burn as it is executed, again, a 4-minute, 41-second deorbit burn to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second. 28 minutes after the deorbit burn will be the pyrotechnic separation of the three sections of the Soyuz, the orbital module, the bulbous top portion of the Soyuz spacecraft, which will be depressurized about 10 seconds after the completion of the deorbit burn. The crew is strapped into their seats in the descent module, that center section that you see. The bottom portion, the instrumentation and propulsion module, also will be discarded at the time of the automatic pyrotechnic separation of the modules that is scheduled at 1:51 a.m. Central Time. About 3 minutes after the modules separate, the descent module will reach the upper levels of the Earth's atmosphere, called entry interface, at an altitude of about 61.8 miles. At that time, the crew members will start to feel the pull of gravity against their bodies. For Loral O'Hara, the first time she will experience gravity in 204 days. Some 90 seconds later, the spacecraft will begin its entry into what is called the plasma regime, where the temperatures around the Soyuz descent module will build to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, the heat shield pointed in the direction of travel to repel or ablate the heat away from the spacecraft. They will exit that plasma regime just after 2 a.m. Central Time, and a minute later, The crew will experience their maximum G loads on their bodies, about 4 to 5 Gs, if everything is going according to plan. The command to open the parachutes at an altitude of 6.7 miles above the Earth is scheduled to be issued at 2:03 a.m. Central Time, 3:03 a.m. Eastern Time, some 14 and a half minutes before touchdown, which is scheduled at 2:17 and 36 seconds a.m. Central Time, 3:17 and 36 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, which will be 12:17 p.m. Kazakhstan time at the landing site, some 6 hours and 43 minutes before sunset. The latest coordinates for the landing, as relayed to the crew a few minutes ago by the Russian mission controllers in Korolyov, calls for the landing to occur at a latitude of 47.24 degrees north and a longitude of 69.39 degrees east. One other note that is worth mentioning, shortly before the separation of the modules, that again is scheduled at 1:51 a.m. Central Time, this is the area where the Soyuz will be too far away from the International Space Station to assure guaranteed voice communications. That'll be at a range of about 170 kilometers between the Soyuz and the International Space Station. So at this point, communications could be choppy and they could be lost altogether for a period of time. That is normal until the Soyuz approaches the area of the landing site, at which time communications will be restored through the Antonov flying fixed-wing aircraft, which serves as a flying relay and data command center, if you will, to relay voice and data back to the Russian mission controllers in Korolyov. About 11 minutes away from the start of the deorbit burn, at this point, the landing team members who will be aboard the 6 Russian Mi-8 helicopters departing from Zhezkazgan for the landing site, they're in their respective helicopters, rotors running, ready to take off in sequential fashion for about a 35-minute flight to the landing zone, awaiting the arrival of the Soyuz MS-24. At the landing site southeast of Zhezkazgan, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon with just a few clouds at 10,000 feet, winds out of the southwest at about 6 knots, and the temperature expected to be around 60 degrees Fahrenheit for a balmy spring return to Earth for Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya.
Казбек, ТУП Москвы.
Казбек, Moscow.
На связи, в 9:14.
Go ahead at 9:14. I send the EKV inhibit.
Ожидаем разворот.
Waiting for the maneuver. Copy.
Далее по циклограмме отработки импульса.
And then proceed with the timeline for the burn. Copy.
Approaching 8 minutes before the start of the deorbit burn, all the Soyuz systems are in excellent shape. Aboard the International Space Station itself, the Expedition 71 crew, transitioning from 70 to 71 at the time of the undocking a few hours ago, led by Commander Oleg Kononenko. That Expedition 71 crew is wrapping up its workday. They'll be monitoring the next hour or so until the landing of the Soyuz MS-24 spacecraft and its 3 occupants, and have an off-duty weekend planned. A lot of activity lies ahead for the space station and its crew on board, with the schedule calling for a Russian spacewalk by Kononenko and Roscosmos cosmonaut Nikolai Chub. On April 25th, the undocking of the SpaceX Dragon cargo craft on April 26th for its return home, filled with science experiments and equipment. That will set the stage for a relocation of the Crew 8 Crew Dragon spacecraft from the forward port of the Harmony module to the zenith port on Harmony, which is currently occupied by the SpaceX cargo craft. The opening up of the forward port of Harmony through that relocation, which is scheduled for no earlier than April 30th, will then be the precursor to the launch and docking of the Boeing Starliner spacecraft on the crew flight test that is scheduled for launch with Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams aboard on the evening of May 6th from Launch Pad 41 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Just under 6 minutes now until the start of the deorbit burn. Once again, this will be a 4-minute, 41-second retrograde firing, slowing the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, enabling it to begin its slow descent towards the Earth's atmosphere. The beginning of the deorbit burn will occur at an altitude of 440.3 kilometers above the Earth for the Soyuz. When the burn is complete, 4 minutes and 41 seconds later, the Soyuz will begin its descent from an altitude of 430 kilometers. And again, the upper section of the Soyuz, called the orbital module, will be depressurized 10 seconds after the completion of the burn as planned, setting the stage for the module separation that occurs automatically through pyrotechnic devices. That will occur at 1:51 a.m. Central Time, 2:51 a.m. Eastern Time. Coming up on 4 minutes until the deorbit burn. 2 minutes 45 seconds till the deorbit burn. The International Space Station and Soyuz flying 260 miles above the southwestern Atlantic Ocean, having just crossed the southern tip of South America, now beginning a southwest to northeasterly trek in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. Once again, you'll be hearing Oleg Novitskiy calling out parameters of the burn for the duration of its 4-minute 41-second duration. He'll be communicating frequently with the flight controllers that you see there at the Russian Mission Control Center in the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Korolyov. 90 seconds away from the start of the deorbit burn.
BIOS power is on. Compass. SKD cover is open. Copy.
The Soyuz engine cover is open. 30 seconds till the start of the burn.
Select line E. Selected line E. Copy.
Ten seconds till the start of the burn. Standing by for ignition.
Firing confirmed. Firing confirmed.
The deorbit burn underway as planned. This will be 4 minutes and 41 seconds in duration.
секунд.
30 seconds. Burn is 13.2.
Novitskiy, as the Soyuz commander, reading off parameters of the burn, 45 seconds into the burn.
Минута 20.
1 minute, 26 and 2.
MS 45.
45. Duration.
Минута 15.
1 minute, 15 seconds, 33.3.
Минута 30.
1 minute, 30 seconds, 39.7.
1 minute, 40 seconds into the burn. About 3 minutes to go.
Минута 45.
1 minute and 45. 46.5.
Две минуты.
2 minutes.
Just over 2 minutes into the burn, everything proceeding normally.
Copy.
2:15.
2:15, 60.5.
The Soyuz continues to decelerate.
30.
2 minutes to go in the burn.
$2:45.
2:45, 74.1.
Three minutes into the burn, everything proceeding on track. The first of the search and recovery helicopters for NASA, Roscosmos personnel, and Rosaviatsa search and recovery forces should be taking off right now from the Jezkazgan airport for the landing site.
3:15, 87.
Принято.
Copy.
3.5 minutes into the burn, about 1 minute 10 seconds left.
3:30.
3 minutes, 30 seconds, 95.2.
НХ-147, до форсунка форма.
Nozzles nominal. 3:45, 102.8.
Four minutes, 5 seconds into the burn,
109.1.
about 31 seconds left. Four and a half minutes into the burn, standing by for engine cutoff.
4 minutes, 30 seconds, 123.6.
And the deorbit burn is complete and reported to be nominal by the flight controllers in Korolyov. Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya heading back to Earth.
127.9.
Принято.
Copy.
Есть давление падения бытового.
Barrel pressure is declining.
Сбор, двери по ГЦ.
Copy.
Принято. Все три гудка. Так, ну, дальше контролируйте падение давления.
Continue monitoring pressure decay in
По
barrel.
времени по 62-й странице.
And work per page 62.
The orbital module, the uppermost section of the three-section Soyuz vehicle, currently being depressurized as planned in advance of the separation of the three sections of the Soyuz that is coming up at 1:51 a.m. Central Time, 2:51 a.m. Eastern.
И позднее 9:45 КСС в режим готовности.
Oleg, no later than 9:45, share says in ready mode.
До разделения 21 минута.
So with the deorbit burn having been completed as planned, next up in about 21 minutes will be the separation of the three modules comprising the Soyuz spacecraft. Pyrotechnic devices will trigger the automatic separation of those three modules, the upper module being the orbital module, and the lower section being the instrumentation and propulsion module, leaving just the descent module, the center section, with the crew strapped in their seats, heading in the direction of travel toward the landing site.
The comm is intermittent. I did not understand anything you said.
At the intermediary staging site at Kazakhstan, which is 91 miles to the northeast, or the northwest, I should say, of the landing site, the Russian Mi-8 helicopters, 6 of them, are en route now to the landing zone, where they will form a circular flying pattern around the landing site, along with an Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft that will serve as a flying relay station for data and voice communication from the Soyuz crew as they approach the area of touchdown.
Kazbeki, this is Moscow. How do you copy?
Kazbeki is the call sign Novitskiy chose for his Soyuz spacecraft for both launch to docking as well as undocking through landing. He knows and has trained to maintain as constant communication as possible with the flight controllers in Korolyov during the Soyuz descent back into the Earth's atmosphere. We're about 43 minutes away from touchdown, which, if it occurs on time, will be at 2:17 and 36 seconds a.m. Central Time, 3:17 and 36 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, 12:17 p.m. on Saturday at the landing site in Kazakhstan, 91 miles to the southeast of the town of Kazakhstan.
Yes, the sensor.
The weather at the landing site is very good. Just a few clouds reported at 10,000 feet. Winds very light out of the southwest at about 6 knots. Temperatures around 60 degrees Fahrenheit to greet O'Hara, Novitskiy, and Vasilevskaya.
Okay.
Что говорит? Спасибо.
Интересно.
Получилось, Лорел?
Нет.
Were you able to do
Нормально,
it?
вот два.
No?
The Russian ballistics experts have forecast the touchdown to occur at a latitude of 47.24 degrees north with a longitude of 69.39 degrees east for the Soyuz spacecraft and its 3 occupants. Everything quiet on board the Soyuz, as it is at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov. All the Soyuz systems in good shape. The undocking earlier was perfectly normal. The separation burns to begin the departure opening rate for the Soyuz away from the International Space Station were executed on time, as was the deorbit burn just a few minutes ago to decelerate the Soyuz, enabling it to begin its descent out of low Earth orbit back toward the Earth's atmosphere. Aside from the Rosaviatsa helicopter support teams, the 6 Mi-8 helicopters, which are airborne en route to the landing site, the Russian flight controllers report that all the ground support teams already in place in all-terrain vehicles are poised for the return of the Soyuz. With the weather expected to be good for landing with good visibility, our hope is that we begin to pick up video of the Soyuz descending under its large orange and white parachute. Those chutes will be deployed about 15 minutes before touchdown. We're about 12 minutes away from the module separation, the pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz. That will occur at an altitude of 87 miles above the Earth. The module separation will occur about 3 minutes before the Soyuz begins to enter the Earth's atmosphere. This is Mission Control Houston. Just to recap, everything proceeding on schedule as planned with the return of the Soyuz MS-24 back to Earth. Soyuz Commander Oleg Novitskiy, NASA astronaut Loral O'Hara, and Belarus spaceflight participant Marina Vasilevskaya, soon to feel the tug of Earth's gravity against their bodies. For O'Hara, this will be the first sensation of gravity in 204 days. Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya comprising basically a taxi crew to ferry a new Soyuz vehicle up to the station, the Soyuz MS-25, which remains at the station and is the ticket home for NASA's Tracy Dyson, along with Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub, come September. The Russian ballistics officers have refined the landing coordinates post-deorbit burn, a very slight tweak. The expected landing target for the Soyuz MS-24 is at a latitude of 47.21 degrees north and a longitude of 69.38 degrees east. The Rosaviatsa Search and Recovery Forces en route to the landing zone. The Russian Mi-8 helicopters are airborne. They'll arrive in the vicinity of the landing site a short time from now and will maintain a circular flying pattern around that landing zone, awaiting the arrival of the Soyuz under its chute. Those helicopters are accompanied by an Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft that serves as a flying relay center for communications and data from the Soyuz to the Russian flight control team in Korolyov outside of Moscow. Eight minutes away from the scheduled module separation for the Soyuz vehicle. In the descent module in the center seat is the Soyuz commander Oleg Novitskiy of Roscosmos. NASA's Loral O'Hara strapped into her seat. To the right of Novitskiy, Marina Vasilevskaya, the Belarus spaceflight participant, is seated to Novitskiy's left. As a reminder, following the deorbit burn, as is commonplace, the Soyuz is too far away from the International Space Station for reliable VHF communications, and so those communications either are lost or are choppy at best until the Soyuz approaches the vicinity of the landing site, when those communications are restored solidly with the Antonov 26 relay plane. Again, this is normal and is to be expected, as we are now about 6 minutes away from the planned separation of the three sections of the Soyuz. Here in Mission Control in Houston, countdown clocks ticking backward toward the expected touchdown time for the Soyuz, just about 31 minutes from now. Loral O'Hara is wrapping up 204 days in space, in which she accrued 3,264 orbits of the Earth, having traveled 86.5 million statute miles. O'Hara, during her tenure on the International Space Station of 6.5 months, saw the arrival of 8 visiting vehicles and the departure of 7 visiting vehicles, and she conducted 1 spacewalk totaling 6 hours and 42 minutes in duration, along with NASA astronaut Jasmine McBelly. The Soyuz, that is less than 30 minutes away from its return to Earth with O'Hara, Novitskiy, and Vasilevskaya, launched last September 15th from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, with O'Hara, Oleg Kononenko, and Nikolai Chub on board. Kononenko and Chub will and are remaining on board the International Space Station as members of the Expedition 71 crew, Kononenko being the commander of the International Space Station. He soon will pass the 1,000-day mark in space for total time by any human being, more than any other human who has ever flown in space. That 1,000-day milestone to be reached on June 4th. Kononenko and Chub will return to Earth in September with NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson, who launched on March 23rd with Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya. We're about 3 minutes away from the planned time for the module separation. This will occur at an altitude of 87 miles above the Earth.
Есть запуск программы разделения, есть L5 управляемый спуск, есть АУС на формате спуск.
Elga is confirmed. Spoosk is confirmed on the display. Copy.
The Russian ballistics officers report that the commands have been issued for module separation. We're about 1 minute away from the planned pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz vehicle. We now have confirmation of the Soyuz module separation. It occurred on time as planned. So the descent module with O'Hara, Novitskiy, and Vasilevskaya strapped in their seats, now flying on its own, targeting the landing site to the southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan, Kazakhstan, touchdown 25 minutes away. We're about 2 minutes away from the descent module entering the Earth's atmosphere. That will occur at an altitude of 61.8 miles. At that point, the three crew members will begin to feel the effects of Earth's gravity against their bodies.
Incoherent.
The Soyuz should now be entering the Earth's atmosphere, the point called entry interface. In about a minute or so, the Soyuz should begin the period of peak heating in the plasma regime, as well as beginning entry guidance through its onboard computers targeting the landing site southeast of Zhezkazgan, where the Rosaviatsa Search and Recovery Forces, as well as NASA and Roscosmos personnel, are about to arrive in a circular flying pattern, awaiting the Soyuz descending under its large parachute. As the Soyuz enters this plasma regime, think of it as a blackout period where the heat around the vehicle builds to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. This will last for about 4 minutes or so. This is Mission Control Houston. Just 20 minutes now until the expected landing of the Soyuz MS-24 with Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya on board. The lack of communications from the crew on board the Soyuz is to be expected at this point until the Soyuz emerges from this plasma regime. Communications will be restored through the Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft at the landing site, relaying voice and data to the Russian mission controllers that you see there in the Russian mission control room for the International Space Station outside of Moscow. The Russian Mi-8 helicopters have arrived in the vicinity of the landing zone. Just about 18 minutes now until touchdown. We're about 4 minutes away from the anticipated command to begin the opening of the parachutes. That parachute deployment sequence is triggered by a barometric pressure sensor at an altitude of 41,000 feet. The main parachute cover is jettisoned by a series of pyros and springs that pulls out 2 extraction chutes, which in turn pulls out the drogue chute, which in turn pulls out the main chute. That all takes about 20 seconds to happen. Then, at an altitude of 21,000 feet, another pressure sensor starts a timer, triggering most of the remaining events in the landing sequence. Commands will be issued to jettison the heat shield, inhibit the entry thrusters, and to open valves to vent all the hydrogen peroxide fuel for the entry thrusters and the oxygen in the life support system tank. This from the ground is seen as a white vapor, which is normal. That's a combination of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen venting into the air. The purpose of this is to safe the vehicle for landing. The search and recovery forces and the RSC Energia personnel do not want hazardous gases to remain in the tanks when the soft landing thrusters fire just a couple of seconds before touchdown. This way, the ground support personnel can approach the vehicle without personal protection equipment.
Object Moscow. Go ahead. The report on the descent. Yes, we started the descent. How do you feel? The crew feels great. Okay, copy. Can you give us the pressure in 781? Copy. Okay, guys. Congratulations. Descent continues.
That report from Oleg Novitskiy, the Soyuz commander, that the crew is feeling great, just about 15 minutes before touchdown.
Can you give me the integral and discrete? Integral is somewhere at about half discrete negative. Half discrete negative. Copy. Wow. That's cool. Seven 10-0307, expecting OSPEP.
We are standing by for the command for chute deploy. The main parachute, that large orange and white chute, covers an area of about 1,000 meters, slowing the Soyuz to a descent rate of 7.2 meters per second. The harnesses first allow the Soyuz to descend at a canted angle of about 30 degrees to expel heat, then will shift the Soyuz, rehooking it, if you will, to a straight vertical descent. We're standing by for visual confirmation from the search and recovery forces that the Soyuz is now descending under its parachute. Coming up on 12.5 minutes until touchdown. And there's the video on the front screen of the Russian Mission Control Center of the Soyuz under its main chute, and that white vapor that you see is the combination of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen being vented from the life support system tank. That is nominal. Time to touchdown, 11 minutes, 40 seconds. The large orange and white chute is fully reefed. The Soyuz descending at a nominal rate. Visual contact from the search and recovery forces. 11 minutes until touchdown. Now we're getting our full view of the Soyuz descending under its chute. The heat shield has been jettisoned.
Хорошо. Так.
That is a radio beacon signal from the Soyuz, used for tracking purposes for the search and recovery forces.
Например,
10 minutes until touchdown, everything going by the book. No issues reported. The Soyuz in great shape, as is the crew, as reported by Soyuz Commander Oleg Novitskiy.
How copy?
Космос, 90...
Yes. We can copy. Unintelligible.
438, 423, 8-9 зона, космос передает на жесть Казган.
Unintelligible.
Пятый космос, 8-9, наш жест Казган. Наш жест Казган.
Космос, 429-му.
429 космос.
423, 438 запрашивают, на жесть Казган следует.
2378. Operations nominal.
443, 438 на жесть Казган.
Unintelligible.
This is Mission Control Houston. Just about 8 minutes until touchdown. Under a cloudless sky over the steppe of Kazakhstan, the Soyuz descending at its nominal rate, the crew feeling good, according to Soyuz Commander Oleg Novitskiy. Loral O'Hara seated to his right, Marina Vasilevskaya to his left.
Altitude
Altitude is 360.
3,600 meters above the ground. The search and recovery forces have voice communication with the crew, reporting that they all feel well.
We can see the vehicle. 36, please do follow. Copy.
Once the Soyuz touches down, the ground forces,
Search and
already in
rescue.
place in
Audio
all-terrain
request waiting.
vehicles, will begin to drive toward the capsule as the Russian Mi-8 helicopters land in sequential fashion, just a few dozen feet away from the capsule itself, to begin the process of ensuring that the vehicle is safe, that no toxic gases are leaking from the vehicle before they begin the
Altitude
process of
is
extracting the
3,000.
crew.
How do you feel? Kazbek, this is Molnia. This is Kazbek. The altitude is 3,000. Copy.
3,000 meters off the deck, 6.5 minutes till touchdown.
Часть космоса. Так, Казбек, вас молния вызывает, не принимаете его, нет? Не услышал, кого вызывали и кто вызывает.
It was not clear. Come again.
Принял.
This is the ground. What's the altitude? 2,800. Copy.
It's a balmy April day on the steppe of Kazakhstan, which is at this time of year almost like a straw-like surface. 60 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature to greet O'Hara, Novitskiy, and Vasilevskaya.
Высота 2000.
The altitude is 2,000.
2,000 meters off the ground, everything continuing to go very well. The Soyuz system's in good shape. The Soyuz descending at its nominal rate. Just a reminder, about 2 seconds before touchdown, you should see a puff of smoke. That's basically the soft landing engines firing in a final braking
We're
maneuver.
accompanying the vehicle.
The crew's
The
seats will be
altitude is
cocked
2,800.
into an upright position to brace them for landing.
448, please establish contact with the vehicle.
Мы вас приняли, 1900 освободили. Казбек, молния.
Kazbek, this is Molnia. This is Kazbek.
Казбек, сопровождаем вас. Как самочувствие?
Oleg, we are accompanying you. How do you feel? Excellent. The altitude is 1580.
906, 478. На приеме? Ответили, самочувствие норма. Продолжаем сопровождение. 1500. Понял.
The altitude is 1500.
Just about 3.5 minutes away from touchdown, everything proceeding as planned. The Russian Mi-8 helicopters are circling the landing zone. The search and recovery forces have good communications with Novitskiy aboard the Soyuz. He continues to report that the crew is feeling very well.
Высота 1100.
The altitude is 1100.
1,100 meters now before touchdown. Under 3 minutes until the homecoming for these 3 crew members.
Классный спуск, да?
Вообще
What an excellent descent. Do you agree? Absolutely.
Так, высота 980.
The altitude is 980. Please tighten your straps.
Так, и после моей команды не разговариваем.
Just about 2 minutes until touchdown.
The altitude is 900.
900 meters off the ground.
Космос 472, 478.
Землю видно?
Can you see the ground?
500 метров.
The altitude is 700.
Just over a minute until touchdown, 600
600
meters off the ground.
Meters.
Космос 906. Группа 4 единицы, подходим к объекту. Берем на сопровождение.
4 units are approaching the object. I can see the ground now.
500 метров.
The altitude is 500 meters.
Полета не видно?
Can you see a helicopter? No, I can't.
There is one of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters circling the vicinity, another one. Once the Soyuz touches down, so will those helos in
The
sequential
altitude is
fashion
350.
to begin the heart of the extraction process as they remove the crew from the descent module.
200.
We should see the horizon here any moment.
All right, we will be keeping silent here and waiting for the landing.
And we have touchdown. Touchdown at 2:17 a.m. Central Time, 3:17 a.m. Eastern Time, 12:17 p.m. at the landing site. Loral O'Hara back
Touchdown.
on terra firma after 204 days in space.
Прибыль посадочный 360. На свои места.
Please assume your positions.
Космос 429.
Cosmos to 429.
429.
49.
Закладывай экипажа, спускаем на землю.
29. Занимайте четвертую зону. Высота.
Let's go to zone 4.
Кто пока здесь, по группе? Четвертую занять удалось.
We are still here.
Once again, the Soyuz MS-24 back on Earth. A safe touchdown for Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya, following a flawless undocking from the International Space Station, the deorbit burn,
your position.
and
I'm
all of
still
the
in
entry
the air.
activities tripped off in perfect
Once you
fashion,
reach your position, please land.
resulting in a landing at 2:17 a.m. Central
There's no
Time,
calm.
3:17 a.m. Eastern Time.
Please assume your positions relative to the vehicle. Not relative to me, but relative to the vehicle. To Cosmos, what is the position of the object? It is on its side. Cosmos to 429.
Координаты запишите северные 47, 24, восточные 69, 39.
Please write down the coordinates.
47, 24.
4724 north.
And on the front screen of the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow, the words Jest Posadka, they've landed, and a welcome home for Loral O'Hara, as well as for Marina Vasilevskaya and Oleg Novitskiy.
Космос, передавайте, передам 409. 409 вам Космос передает нажив ждем. Мягкая посадка.
We've momentarily lost the video from the landing site. That means that the television cameras operated by RSC Energia from all-terrain vehicles at the landing site, they have momentarily terminated their signal, as those vehicles will now drive to the capsule, where they will reestablish video as soon as they reach that area. Once again, a perfect touchdown for Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya. This is Mission Control Houston. The report from the search and recovery forces at the landing site indicating that the Soyuz landed on its side and that the crew is feeling good as they await the arrival of the Rosaviatsa search and recovery team to begin the process of extracting them from the descent module. Again, the Soyuz landed on its side, which is typical. About 50% of these landings will see the Soyuz dragged by wind in the area that captures the chutes and pulls the capsule onto its side as opposed to landing upright. But the important thing is that the crew is in good shape, according to the search and recovery forces, who have voice communication with Oleg Novitskiy, the Soyuz commander, inside the descent module, landing again occurring at 2:17 a.m. Central Time, 3:17 a.m. Eastern Time, 12:17 p.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan, about 91 miles to the southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan. This is Mission Control Houston. The Soyuz, with its 3 occupants, landed about 10 minutes ago. Just about a pinpoint landing to the southeast of Zhezkazgan and right on time. The search and recovery forces are in the process of moving toward the vehicle to begin ensuring that the vehicle is safe before they begin the work to extract the crew, who will be placed in chairs by the capsule for a few minutes to get their land legs back. Loral O'Hara coming home after 204 days in space. Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya after 2 weeks aboard the vehicle and 12 days aboard the International Space Station. The landing was on time. All of the undocking and landing sequence events went as planned, per the schedule, no issues. And Novitskiy has reported several times that the crew is feeling well. The Soyuz did land on its side after touchdown. As we await the search and recovery forces making their way toward the Soyuz MS-24, following the on-time landing of the 3 crew members on board, Loral O'Hara, Oleg Novitskiy, and Marina Vasilevskaya, joining us here on console is the ISS program manager, Joel Montalbano. Good morning, Joel, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Rob. Awesome landing. That was just fantastic to see the crew home.
So thoughts about Loral's return to Earth after 204 days, 6.5 months aboard the station, and the completion of Expedition 70 with all of the science that was accomplished as well as the other objectives?
You know, with the return of Expedition 70, we're running just under 4,000 investigations since Expedition 0 on board the International Space Station. And the cool thing about this crew is they were up there when we celebrated 25 years of the International Space Station, and how it's changed over those 25 years, from, you know, the assembly of ISS to the research and science we're doing on board, the technology development we're doing on board, the commercialization activities on board, and just awesome to see Expedition 70 participate at and add to the great statistics we have on board the International Space Station.
Joel, from flight director to director of human spaceflight in Russia to deputy ISS program manager to the ISS program manager, you've spent about 2 decades very closely involved in the evolution of NASA's relationship with Roscosmos, the European Space Agency, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency, in seeing the space station expand and flourish. What have been the major milestones you've seen during this time that has made the ISS the complex it is today?
You know, some of the coolest milestones that I think we've done as a partnership is, you know, first going from 3 crew members to 6 crew members. You add then a step up to the incorporation of the U.S. commercial crew vehicles, and what we've been able to do with the SpaceX Dragons. Recently with the private astronaut missions, how we're incorporating more and more of the commercial aspect into the International Space Station. And, you know, one of the things that I like is when I look around the partnership, I see a lot of the ISS experience we have with our international partners moving on to our next programs, moving on to our exploration, and taking the lessons learned and the expertise that we've gained on board the space station and playing that forward such that we can be even more successful as we look past to low Earth orbit.
The ISS today, when it's all said and done, has a lot of life left, but if you had to write the history book right now of the space station, what do you think its lasting legacy is going to be?
To me, the lasting legacy is the international cooperation. We have set the standard on what it takes to cooperate across the globe. You know, through the 25 years of International Space Station, we have incorporated activities from over 110 countries across the globe. And I think that when you look forward and you kind of look and write about the International Space Station, you're going to write about the international cooperation and what we've done as a human race.
You know, as they say in life, one door closes, another one opens, and today's landing is a fitting end, if not bittersweet for you possibly, to your tenure as ISS program manager. As you hand over the reins to Dana Weigel, your deputy, she'll become program manager. Your new job, a tough one, a challenging one, Deputy Associate Administrator for Space Operations. What do you foresee as your expanded role for NASA in your new position as we press ahead not only with the International Space Station, but the Artemis program and all of the rest?
You know, I see my role as helping the team focus as we look at space station through the end of the decade. You know, what do we need to continue doing? What do we need to do on space station to help the exploration effort? What do we need to do to make that Artemis program even more successful? I see my new role as helping develop these commercialization activities, these new space stations that we want in low Earth orbit, and what we can do within the Space Operations Mission Directorate, and how to encourage that, to expand that, and do the best we can to make sure when we move forward with Space Station, that the next programs are taking all our lessons learned, using those, and moving as quickly as they can as they develop forward.
Joel, it's been quite a ride and a pleasure to have come this far with you, with lots more stories yet to come.
Rob, thank you very much. You guys have, this is an awesome team to work with. It's humbling. It's been an honor to do what I've been able to do. And I look forward to helping wherever I can in the future. So thank you very much.
Joel Montalbano, the ISS program manager, with us following the textbook landing of the Soyuz MS-24, as we await the resumption of video from the landing site, as the recovery process will begin to extract the crew members from the descent module. And as they say, timing is everything, as we now are back at the landing site, watching the beginning of the extraction of the crew, the search and recovery forces, the RSC Energia personnel on the scene to begin removing the crew members one by one. They'll be placed in chairs right by the capsule so that they can have a few minutes to regain their land legs.
Третий в эфире. Я ставил, да, на одном месте.
Yeah, I'm here in this location.
Again, the scene at the landing site where the Soyuz MS-24 touched down about 20 minutes ago.
What are you guys doing here?
You can see the 3 chairs set up for the crew members who will be extracted and placed in those chairs to have a few minutes to regain their land legs. They'll then be
Please
carried
move away.
into a nearby inflatable medical tent for preliminary medical exams and to remove their Sokol launch and entry suits. In the blue flight suit that you see there, that's NASA chief photographer Bill Ingalls from NASA headquarters. He was aboard one of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters to photograph the Soyuz descent and touchdown, now by the capsule, waiting for the crew to be extracted.
Can you please move away? We're on air live.
Once again, the work continuing by the RSC Energia personnel to talk to the crew and run through the post-landing procedures. Novitskiy in the center seat of the Soyuz descent module. On his right, Loral O'Hara. On his left, Marina Vasilevskaya, the three to be extracted just a short time from now. They'll be put in those chairs that you saw just a moment or two ago for a few minutes before they will be carried in those chairs to the nearby inflatable medical tent for post-landing medical tests and to change into more comfortable flight clothing.
All right. Grab the leg and grab the arm. Looks like everything is fine.
This should be the Soyuz commander, Oleg Novitskiy. First out from the center seat. That makes the extraction of the other two much easier.
We are broadcasting straight to MCCM.
Лёх, удочку. Все, есть удочка.
Oleg Novitskiy completing the fourth flight in his career, 545 days in space.
We have the sound. The second crew member is being extracted from the descent module.
The stark landscape of the Kazakh steppe as recovery operations are continuing with the extraction of the crew, all in good shape, according to Novitskiy. Once again, Oleg Novitskiy looking none the worse for wear after 14 days in space.
Could you please move a little bit away? Very gently. Easy. The leg got stuck. Okay. Over there.
And Loral O'Hara now out of the Soyuz MS-24. O'Hara back on Earth after 204 days in space.
Дай осетскую маску, у меня нету больше. Нету тебе? А нету, говорит, у меня? Нету? Ну ладно.
Можно? Я сейчас когда сюда посмотрю. Аккуратнее, тут провод. О, вот, смотрите.
Be careful, there's a wire around here.
Давай. Друг другу не мешаем.
All right. Please do not interfere with each other's actions.
Заглядывай, будешь? Все, теперь не мешаем. Здравствуй, красавица. Ну вот ты дома.
And the crew's awaiting the extraction of Marina Vasilevskaya, the last one out. A very swift extraction process coming just 30 minutes after touchdown on the steppe of Kazakhstan, about 91 miles to the southeast of the town of Kazakhstan.
Так, ноги, потихоньку, ноги.
Be careful with her legs.
Правую доставай. Так, давай назад чуть-чуть.
Just move a little bit back.
Спокойно, дыши ровненько, не торопись. Подожди, стой.
Breathe easy. Don't pant.
Она еще снизу. Давай вот чуть-чуть. Попку назад. И потом вверх чуть-чуть. И вперед. Опять.
Hold on just a little bit. Don't rush. There is no rush.
Мешок этот. Шланги прошли. Там этот.
All the hoses are through.
Так, давай, я вытащу почти. Давай на меня. Ложись на плечо.
Okay.
And here comes Marina Vasilevskaya the Belarus spaceflight participant who wrapped up 2 weeks in space, 12 days aboard the International Space Station.
Easy, easy.
Ступня свободна? Ступня свободна?
Is your foot loose?
Нет, нормально, не надо. За ручку зацепилась. Туда. Давай. Назад, назад. Назад пошла.
So move a little bit back. Don't pant. Breathe easy.
А можно еще раз повернуть?
Could you please turn it our way?
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Берите здесь. Тихо, стоп, стоп.
All right, please grab her. Very careful with her leg. All right, got her.
Marina Vasilevskaya now out of the Soyuz MS-24. All 3 crew members enjoying sunshine and fresh air.
Подальше, ну пожалуйста, вы же на них залезли. Пожалуйста.
Just keep your distance.
Назад, ну.
Please move away a little bit.
Дальше, дальше. Ну,
A little further.
какая мне разница? Цуп, не цуп, блядь, если он на него сядет. Можно я чуть-чуть?
Don't overcrowd, please. Take a couple of steps back. 2 more steps back, please, everyone.
Лех, звук нормально, пойдет.
Have you done the tests? Yes.
Just to recap, we are continuing to receive television from the landing site.
To move a little bit away. Hello,
The Soyuz MS-24 landed right on time
Before you descend,
at 2:17 a.m. Central Time, 3:17 a.m. Eastern Time, 12:17 p.m. at the landing site.
Pickles for you. Here you go. How do you feel? Marina, you look beautiful. Everyone is saying a big hello to you. You're our heroine. We are so proud of you. And we brought these flowers for you to say thank you to your heroic deed. And here's some juice. I'm overwhelmed with emotions. It's something incredible. And I wish all people on Earth to treasure and cherish what they have, because this is precious. We knew that we were awaited here on the ground, and I thank all people of Belarus. We had a lot of activities on board, and we actually wanted to stay a little longer, but it's great to be back. It was awesome to be on board the station.
Ее закрыли опять. Я тебе говорю, закрыли ее опять.
Thank you so very much. I'm so glad to see you all. So, Marina, we all tried to bring you something, but are you hungry at this very moment? No, not at all. We just had breakfast. I'm just overwhelmed with emotions. I'm not hungry at all. I'm so glad to see you all. Thank you for your support. The weather is great. It's sunny. It's warm. We were actually praying to the steppe gods for this weather. Thank you all who supported me, who rooted for me. I feel excellent, feel great. I now understand why people want to be cosmonauts. When I saw this with my own eyes, I understood why I'm here.
The crew answering a few questions from some of the members of the media gathered at the landing site. There's a wide view you can see in the background, a Russian Mi-8 helicopter, part of the Rosaviatsa Search and Recovery Force team. All three crew members out of the descent module, all feeling well, they report. Soon to be carried in those chairs to the nearby inflatable medical tent for medical exams and to change out of those Sokol launch and entry suits.
Oleg, please say something for your relatives. No, I know that all of you guys have been watching my descent from the mission control. We feel awesome. Everything has been great. Thank you very much.
After the brief period of medical exams, the three crew members will be brought to three different helicopters for a 2-hour flight back to the staging city of Karaganda, Kazakhstan.
Thank you.
Where they will split up, Loral O'Hara boarding a NASA plane to fly back to Houston, while Novitskiy and Vasilevskaya board a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft to fly back to their training base in Star City, Russia, outside of Moscow.
Marina, can you turn it our way?
Открыли ее, давай я покажу ее.
You can put it here.
В реальном времени.
Скажите, что прямой эфир.
Can you please tell them that we are live on air?
And a good view of Loral O'Hara with a thumbs up. Each of the crew members being presented with a Matryoshka doll, the stacking dolls that bear the resemblance of each crew member.
All right, you guys are good? Yes. All right. Не надо, спасибо.
Are you guys ready?
Вон, как положено. Вот здесь, да? Вот за аппаратом прямо. Далеко, да? Не, несите палатку 100 метров. Недалеко.
Is it long? Is it far away? No, it's not. It's about 100 meters away.
Я прошу прощения. Все, давай.
I was amazed to see our beautiful Earth from space.
Вечерний панорам, поэтому не пропустите. Что констатирую к этому моменту? Марина Василевская вот сейчас, она утопает в цветах. Мы, как настоящие белорусы, гостеприимные и хлебосольные, не могли приехать и сюда в степь с пустыми руками, поэтому сейчас попрошу режиссера.
We came here from Belarus and covered Marina Vasilevskaya with flowers. Right now we have the Belarus delegation, medical team, and other support personnel around Marina.
Нет, пускай еще поснимаю.
Marina is in excellent health.
Welcome home.
NASA astronaut Loral O'Hara flashing a smile. Back home after 204 days in space.
Place all three crew members closer to each other.
They're asking all the docs if it would be okay to bring the chairs in closer a little bit.
Да, конечно, мешает, она в кадре прям.
Ну давай сюда. Ну что?
Лех, назад немножко, тоже с удочкой, назад.
Да, чуть-чуть.
Ее опять закрыли.
Коллеги, мы готовы уходить. 2-3 минуты и все, мы сейчас...
So, give us 2 to 3 minutes. Marina, how can you compare launch and landing? I can't really, they're very different. During launch, you can feel the rocket, the launch vehicle, it's rumbling, it's vibrating, it's amazing. And then after about 10 minutes, you feel that you are in weightlessness. And when you land, the parachute deployment is a big deal, and you feel it.
Все, начинают командировать.
All right, they will be starting transporting the crew commander. Please make way.
And now the process of bringing the crew members one by one in their chairs to the nearby inflatable medical tent, Novitskiy first.
Be very careful, there are some wires on the ground.
And in a tradition, Novitskiy signing his name to his Soyuz spacecraft.
Thank you for your work. All right, I'm done. Please sit in your seat.
Не заваливайте, сзади плохо держите. Шнурок сзади. Друг другу не мешаем. Раз, два.
Oleg Novitskiy being carried, as is the tradition, into the inflatable medical tent nearby, where he will undergo initial medical exams and change into more comfortable clothing, removing his Sokol launch and entry suit.
Перехожу на второго.
All right, let's
Loral O'Hara up next.
carry her to the tent.
There's Vasilevskaya.